Baringo.
Thank you, Dalmas, for that story. Now, Kenya is known globally for being a haven of peace due to contribution it gives towards peace process. The Kenyan Army has been largely involved in peace process back from the days when our forces went to Sierra Leone and now in DRC as we give others peace that is sought after. Kenyan communities continue to offer shelter to refugees as the brothers and sisters they are. Today, we talk about Kenya being the pillar of peace in East Africa and the government's intentions to court new friends. In studio with me is Daniel Juma, a director at Global Peace Foundation. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
We talk about Kenya being the pillar of peace, not just in East Africa, in Africa and even beyond. Just how important is it for us to be proud of our forces and to just be patriotic for the good job that is ongoing?
Thank you. Kenya indeed has adopted peace as the basic pillar of our foreign policy. As you know, our country has 5 main pillars of foreign policy. Peace diplomacy is at the basic of that. Also, we have cultural diplomacy, environmental diplomacy, we have diaspora, diplomacy, and several others. And as you see, our country now has been contributing, peacekeeping forces. We started Sierra Leone. We have gone to Somalia. We have gone to several countries. In the Moi era, we were very instrumental for the peace in Mozambique, where we were able to transform the guerrilla war, get them from the guerrilla to come to the table during the time of President Chisano. And of late, you've seen we have contributed forces, 900 soldiers that have just been deployed into the East African Regional Force by the ESC. This is the first time the ESC is actually implementing the East African troops, the East African Regional Force. This is instrumental. This is very, very critical. As you know, without peace, you cannot talk about anything from development, from investment, from agriculture. There's nothing can happen without peace. And Kenya has known, historically, we have been known as an island of peace in regional turbulent waters. When we had chaos in the region, Somalia, Sudan, we knew peace for quite a long time, except one time when we had and the incident with 2007, 2008, which of course, again reminded us that this is not who we are, that we are a great nation, we are a hotbed of peace. And from the 2007, 2008, and the lessons learned therein, we were able to again strengthen our institutions. We had a new constitution, the 2010 constitution. We were able to improve on our human rights, on our judicial system. And right now, judging from the recent elections, where we were able to demonstrate to the whole world that this is who we are, that we have matured, democratically, and we have become an example, not just to ourselves, but to the region. The whole region was looking at Kenya, countries that rarely, conduct peaceful transitions were able to see that Kenya is able to conduct peaceful elections and to be able, even when we had even advisories, that there will be chaos, especially you saw 2 advisories in Kisumu. The people of Kisumu were able to demonstrate that we are a peaceful, we are a mature democracy, and we are a civilized nation. And I'm very proud to be Kenyan, and I continue to basically play my role as a peace actor so that our country can be able to showcase its strength in diplomacy.
And even when you talk about Kenya being the haven of peace and the country that continues to set an example, it has become easier for Kenyans to live with our neighbors who sought refuge in our country. Let's talk about Ethiopians who are in the country. Let's talk about South Sudan, Sudanese who are in the country. Talk about Somali nationals who are in the country. And there is a sense of togetherness that Kenyans continue to embrace their neighbors as we continue to be an example. But even as we talk about it, how then do we ensure that this conversation, as Kenya continues to have to seek shelter for them, that we also play a part in seeing that they're able to access facilities like education, health, and all these things together? Yeah,
I think it's very, very critical. And as you rightly put it, we are the home to many refugees, from Somalia, from Sudan, especially these two countries, even though their leaders, cause chaos in their countries, but they find safe haven in our country. They have, some of them have their homes. They actually sleep here and then go govern, in the day and sleep here. So I think we have to continue using our example. And this is one thing I would want our neighbors to be able to understand. Especially, I'm really, really passionate. I'm really concerned about Somalia. Somalia has very great potential, very, very great potential. If only that country can put its act together, and be able to mine the resources, the natural resources that they have. If you look at Somalia here, if you look at Eastleigh here, then you can see the potential, the vibrancy of the Somali people. If only they can get it right in terms of peace, then Somalia alone is able to actually provide employment to not just Kenyans but also other youth from the region to go and live and work in those countries. Look at Sudan. Sudan is another country that is very rich in natural resources. Actually, the gold that we have, the natural resources that we have, the diamond in Sudan, is capable of feeding the whole region if carefully and well, harnessed. That it could be the economic backbone of our region. But again, if you look at also DRC, one of the reasons why, and where people kept saying that one of the reasons why we have that problem in DRC is because of the richness of its resources. That we have countries who are hell-bent on manipulating that nation so that amidst that chaos, then they can be able to take advantage of the resources. So, and that's why I think what Kenya is doing is very, very important. If we are able to stabilize our neighboring countries, then, as you know, we have a very, very strong and educated workforce, and our workforce, is able, as you know, even though we have problem in the Sudan, we have Kenyans going to do business in Sudan, teaching there, providing education, providing humanitarian services. So if we continue in this trajectory, and that's why for those who have been doubting, the intention of Kenya, I'm very, very, I'm very, very sure that, even to be able to provide, jobs for our youths. What President Ruto is doing in DRC, stabilizing DRC, is very, very important, because when that happens, we will provide an opportunity for Kenyans to trade with DRC, for Kenyans to be able to teach there, for Kenyans to be able to work there, for various kinds of opportunities that is very, 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 very critical. And when it comes to education, I think it's very, very key that again, since we are in terms of education, we are able to help those countries to lift up themselves, lift their standard of education, make sure that their schools are up to date. And as you can see right now, we have the students coming from the region coming to study in our universities. The University of Nairobi, the best university, in the nation, but of course maybe in Africa. They come, we have foreign students coming to USIU, our private universities. Not just that, even medical. If you go to Nairobi Hospital, you'll find patients coming from Rwanda, Burundi, some come just even for maternity services. I have a friend who came from Rwanda just to have maternity service in the Nairobi Hospital. So we have great potential, and if we continue to help our neighbors to stabilize themselves, then of course we are able to to benefit. We are able to export our resources, export our labor, export our acumen, for the benefit of our country.
And even as we talk about the advantages of the region being united, then comes the East Africa community and the conversations around the African Union as well. As we speak right now, the East Africa community at the Assembly, ELA members of Parliament just passed the monetary protocols on how then the region can work together, do business together using a single form of currency. So as we move forward, how do we then enhance the advantages, the resources that we have in the region to be able to do business? Because we talk about a population of roughly around between 200 to 300 million people. If we just come together and do business moving forward, what are some of the advantages that we see if Somalia gets its right together, DRC gets its right together, Ethiopia, the problems, the Tigrayan forces, sit down and decide to be a peaceful nation, bring the entire East Africa, a peaceful nation that is doing business together. In hindsight, what are we looking for?
If we are together, we're talking about 300 million, population 300 million. This is a very, very huge market. We can take advantage of this huge market to negotiate, for example, with the EU, negotiate, better tariffs for our goods and services, negotiate with the US, negotiate with other countries, negotiate with China. If we are able to negotiate together as a region, then we stand a better chance of having the leverage. But if you are doing bilaterals alone, negotiating, that you negotiate at a point of weakness, and that's why the reason why, of course, divide and rule. The big powers, they divide you, and you are not able to achieve much. So I think it is very, very critical that the East African community gets its acts together, and we are long overdue. Talking about even the East African Common Tariff, the monetary, and even the political federation. I think our leaders needs to get the courage and move swiftly, even if just having a common, the common monetary, the common money for the region. I think that would be a good beginning. But other than that, mine is to, and this again, my congratulations to the citizens of the region. The citizens actually should set the stage. It should be a citizen-led, federation. As we speak today, the people are doing business together. Kenyan businesses are exporting, to the region, Tanzania. What government needs to do is just open up the borders, make it, possible for people to be able to move, across the border, make it possible, for us to hire, labor, from across the region, and also for Kenyan workers to be able to work in the countries.
Let's just take a short commercial break. Sure. When you come back, we have discussion on even expanding our engagement with other nations beyond East Africa, and even globally. We will be right back after this break.